Welcome to Becoming Limitless. This is the podcast for entrepreneurs who want to optimize their life for freedom. I'm going to teach you how to upgrade your health, money, and mindset so you can have more energy, time freedom, and financial independence. I'm your host, Tanessa Shears. Let's jump in. Welcome back to the Becoming Limitless podcast. I hope you had a great week so far. This episode is going to be perfect for you if you need a rest day and you need to take care of yourself, but the go-to ways you've normally done rest before never make you feel any better. So you know the days I'm talking about. You know when you have a lousy sleep, or you're sick, or you're dealing with a massive transition in your life or big changes, and you're just dealing with it, and your energy is low, but you still want to take care of yourself. But it's so interesting. What we do by default is, I think of it as you ever know, when you wake up and your hair is greasy and you need a shower, but you're too tired. So you stay in your sweats and you're on the couch and you're watching your, trashy reality TV, or maybe you're watching Love is Blind reruns or whatever it is we want to watch, right? And you just sit there all day and you stay. And we're like, it's okay, I need a low energy day. But then you just end up feeling worse. You know what I mean? You're still tired, and now you have a neck ache because you've been sitting on the couch weird all day and you're just grumpy and you don't feel any better. It's kind of there's a weird, for me at least, a weird satisfaction in just staying in my low energy, lousy mood. And I know for me, that is always something that's easy to go to, but I never feel better for it. But when I go to think of what can I do to take care of myself? I don't feel like going for a big workout right now. I don't feel like doing all of these habits that require input, like cooking healthy food and all of that kind of stuff. And so what today's episode was inspired by is basically, if you've been following along on the podcast, the last couple months have been a couple months of change for us. We are moving, putting our life in a storage locker. We are traveling for the month of September. We're coming back. There's a lot going on in our life right now. And so naturally, just with the amount on my brain, I am constantly having to take care of myself. And what I have found actually is 10 low energy self-care habits that even on my days where I am just wow, there's a lot to do, or I'm feeling stressed out, or there's something on the go, or I'm waking up sick, or even if it's in my luteal phase in my cycle, the last 7 to 10 days, if you get a period before your period starts, those 7 to 10 days, all of these are wonderful self-care energy habits. And as entrepreneurs, a lot of us deal with perfectionism, or we are type A, or we like to have everything very planned and scheduled, or we have high expectations of ourselves. We've got to-do lists 10 miles long, projects that go on forever and ever, right? We've got a lot going on. And sometimes we just need a restoration day, or a restoration afternoon, or a restoration hour, or even half an hour. I've got strategies in here that you can do for just 15 minutes, but these are all going to be self-care habits and things you can do to actually take care of you, to help you feel maybe rejuvenated or restored, or you got some downtime within your body and your energy to recover, that aren't just overeating on the couch, zoning out to TV that maybe doesn't make you feel good, right? And I do have some TV options in here as well, but there's just some differences that I've noticed based on the data from my Oura rings, what works better for my recovery and what doesn't. Because if you don't have an Oura ring, I'll give you a little insight onto one of my favorite features. So there is a whole section on the homepage called Daytime Stress Tracking. And you can see live time whether your body is stressed, engaged, relaxed, or restored, right? So restored is the deepest level of relaxation in which you are finally recharging. Relaxed is, it's funny, I'm looking at it right now. I'm actually relaxed right now, which is interesting. It's not normal during a podcast. Engaged is when I'm working or I'm just buzzing around the house. And stressed, it can be when I'm working out. It can be when I'm really excited. It could be when I'm angry or when my kids are crying. And so all of these habits that I have given you today are habits that take me from stressed or high engaged down to relaxed and restored. These are all things that I do proactively that don't take a lot of energy input to help, because honestly, like between if you're a parent, we're running a business, you got all the health habits, like sometimes you're just going to wake up tired, and it is okay to not perform every day. Not every day has to be productive. Not every day has to have the most intense banging workout ever. Like, we get to be humans. And so I'm giving you 10 of my low energy self-care habits that make me feel more human. So grab one, grab two, or grab all 10, or cycle through them. These are all things that I'm so excited to share with you. So let's jump in. So the first one is one that I have been exploring probably since December. So we're probably on like 8 months of really digging into this habit. And this is the habit of sound baths. Now, I've had this weird resistance around meditation forever. And honestly, meditation could be included in this subcategory. Breath work could be included. So if you hear sound baths, think meditation and breath work as well. But for me, I had a weird resistance around meditation. I just didn't enjoy it until I actually found on there's an app I subscribe to called Aloe Moves, and they had something in there called sound healing. And of course, I'm like, what is going on here? And so I clicked, and I find that sound baths relax me more than anything, because it's interesting when you do sound baths, you also are breathing at the same time. So you get a bit of breath work in there, but sound baths particularly, how do I describe this? I'm not a pro at this, but this is my layman's terms experience of this. So when a sound bath is basically, there are these bowls, and they're called singing bowls. And there is for a lack of better term, stick that you run along the top of the bowls. And each bowl is associated with a particular frequency of sound and also a chakra in the body. And so by emitting certain frequencies from these bowls, it can actually invite your energy to match that. So it can help you step into the frequency of love, or the frequency of willingness, or openness, or acceptance, right? And so these sound baths, a lot of what I used when I was going through everything I was going through last December was I was working on overcoming fear. Right? That was the big one. How can I overcome fear? And now the ones I'm working on are different. It's about being present with what is and acceptance, right? And so you can actually find different sound baths that target different emotions you either want to let go of or you want to feel. And it's not just like regular music that you listen to during a meditation. Like, it's actually meant to have a healing effect on you. And I mean, what is more low energy than laying there and breathing and listening to this? And I will say my brain always thinks there are more useful, I'm going to use air quotes on that, things that I could do with my time than a sound bath. But every time I do a sound bath, it's kind of like, when you get to the middle of a workout and you're at the beginning, you're like, oh, I don't feel like it. I don't want to do that. By the middle, you're so glad you did it. The sound bath is this for me. I even did just a really quick 5-minute one. I took expectations that they should be 15 minutes. They should be 30 minutes. I just 5 minutes after my workout today to really help me get back into my body. And it worked, right? And I really love it. So if you haven't experimented with sound baths, there are sound baths, not so much guided. I mean, you can find guided ones on YouTube, but there are sound baths that you can find on YouTube. Spotify has a whole bunch. There is a YouTube channel that I've poked around in called Healing Vibrations, and they have great sound baths for sleep and all of this stuff. But like I said, most of my experience comes from the ones on the Aloe Moves app. I have a link in the description. Click on it. It'll get you through 30 free days if you want to try out a sound bath. I really enjoy it. I don't know. There's just something about it. It is low energy. It is so healing and restorative. So if I'm going to have I think of them of like sit and rot on the couch days, the least I can do for myself is a sound bath with that. So low energy self-care habits. The second one is I love to, when I'm feeling really low energy, I want to watch like a YouTube channel or something that makes me feel good. What I don't want to watch is business content, is personal development content, is be better content, because I find that this activates me in a weird way that when I have low energy, it gets me into should energy. I should be doing this. I should be doing, redo my lead magnet. I should be doing more outreach. I should be. And so I really want to watch on my low energy days that I'm watching restorative stuff. So there's 2 YouTube channels that I absolutely love. The first one is called Her 86 Meters Squared. So Her and then 86M2. And it is the most aesthetic YouTube channel. And it is about this family that has moved to Germany. And they live in like the countryside. And it is just the most aesthetic thing. She shows her flower garden. She shows her mornings. And it is all set to beautiful music. And the cinematography is absolutely spectacular. Like whenever I watch one of these videos, I feel a deep sense of peace, right? Or another one that I love is there's a channel by a woman named Rachel Talbot, and she does like self-care routines and garden routines and morning routines. And it's just this sense of like calming and peace when I watch. You probably have a channel or something that you go to that makes you feel like that, right? I know a lot of my clients love gardening, home organization, something that makes you just feel at peace. So like I said, those two YouTube channels for me, her 86 meters squared and Rachel Talbot's channel, absolutely fantastic. One thing that I noticed does not work for me is watching certain types of television. So for example, I love Real Housewives of many cities. I love Vanderpump Rules. I love Summer House. But the problem is I watch my stress readings, like I was telling you about from my Aura Ring. When I watch that type of content, and any content that's like on the Bravo network, it's reality television basically, I notice that even if I'm laying there on the couch doing nothing, I don't get very far below engaged or into relax. Like I never get there. But if I'm watching something that makes me feel at peace, I will get into relax and restored. And I think that is because a lot of these reality television shows are centered around drama or conflict or arguing. And that kind of input, even if you're laying on the couch, does not facilitate recovery and restoration. It just facilitates more of the same. And so if I'm really feeling low energy, I will make sure that the content I'm consuming, if I'm going to lay there, is at least going to make me feel at peace. But sometimes I do like to watch Housewives or whatever like that. And so I just make sure that I pair it with something like sound baths that I was telling you about just in the previous idea. The third thing I love to do is something that I've actually only started doing a couple weeks ago as of when I'm recording this, and this is paint by numbers. So I actually had a client who used to tell me she would paint by numbers all the time, and I always thought, wouldn't that be nice? So I actually went on Temu, which is, I think it's like the low cost version of Amazon, to be quite honest. It's a lot of the same stuff on there. It's TEMU if you haven't heard of it yet. I went onto Temu and I ordered me and my husband paint by numbers for adults, and they were like $6 each, so cheap. And we got it sent to our house. And what we love to do is sometimes together, we will get up at 6 a.m. Keep in mind, it's summer when I'm recording this. We will go sit out on the deck. The sun is rising. It's that crisp morning air, and we will paint together on the deck. Or sometimes if I'm having my me time and he takes the kids out, I will paint. And it is this fantastic thing because painting is one of the only things I've ever found that when I'm doing it, my brain goes quiet. It's not like, when I'm going on a walk or something like that my brain is chattering the whole time. Like when I paint by numbers, it goes quiet. And if you don't know what paint by numbers is, it's basically like you paint all the ones one color, all the twos another color. But it's so fun. I have a beautiful painting that I'm working on right now, which is a canvas of a vase of her hydrangea flowers. And I love it. I just love the paying attention to detail, but also letting go and going over the lines a little bit. Like it has been such a restorative thing that I wish I would have tried earlier. The fourth thing that I like to do for low energy habits is take some time for a nap or for what I call non-sleep deep rest. Now, I highly recommend you check out episode 111 of this podcast, Becoming Limitless, because it talks about what I call the ultimate entrepreneur power up. And I think it's interesting. I think we view naps as like something has gone wrong if we nap, or we're lazy if we nap. But naps are one of the most restorative things that you can do for yourself. Having that small chunk of time, anywhere between 10 minutes, 20 minutes, even a little bit longer, can really help to reset your energy. And I mean, what is more low energy than sleeping, right? So a nap is a really good way to do that. There's also this technique coined by Andrew Huberman. He's a neuroscientist from Stanford. It's called non-sleep deep rest. And it is very similar to like Shavasana, if you think in yoga where you lay there, except the way NSDR or non-sleep deep rest is done is it's meant to replenish dopamine stores, lower stress, make up for lost sleep the night before. It's a really fantastic technique, and you can find a lot more about it by Googling NSDR and then Andrew Huberman, or just looking up different options for that on YouTube. Like I said, if you want to go more into the science and the structure of it, when I do it in my day, when it's most effective, and also with naps, like how long to do them, when to do them, when not to do them. Episode 111 of the Becoming Limitless podcast will teach you all about that. It's a fantastic resource. The fifth one that I love to do on my low energy days is restorative movement. So sometimes on these days where I'm just not feeling it, I wake up and I had like a 20-minute interval run planned, and then a strength training, and then a stretch at the end. And then I just know, like, it's very important to me to be able to look into my own energy and be like, would this benefit me or not today? Because sometimes I find, like, if I had a bad sleep or if I wake up and I'm in like an anxious state, sometimes a hard workout is exactly what I need, and sometimes it's not. And so having that discernment to tell the difference is so helpful. And I'll tell you, one of the things that helped me determine that, on some days I will wake up tired and I will do a high intensity workout, and I will notice that my stress levels from then on stay high all day. Whereas a day like today, I woke up and I did a 20-minute walk followed by a 20-minute yoga class, and my stress levels have stayed pretty low all day today. So I'm always looking for feedback on like, when I felt like this and I did this, what was the result? Right? And then once I get the result, I can just repeat it. So it's really simple that way. But I mean, you don't have to have an Oura ring to do that. But of course, I do love it. But some way of checking in with yourself of, did this decision I make push me towards where I want to feel or away where I want to feel, right? So if you do choose to have a restorative movement day, this doesn't mean you skip your workout, but maybe you just alternate it. So like I said, instead of going for a walk run, I just did a walk, right? You just lower the intensity, but you still move, right? Or you do yoga if you were going to do strength training, or you do stretching, like even on its own. Just getting up and doing like a morning movement flow, moving the spine, moving the neck, the hips, like getting your joints warm and lubricated. Or if you're winding down in the evening, stretching out the tension of the day. Oh, it's so wonderful. And if you're not into yoga, there are two types of yoga you can look into. Yin yoga specifically is designed to hold each posture for 4 minutes. So let's say if you're not all familiar with what pigeon pose is, it's basically a glute stretch, but you could sit in that pose for like 4 minutes. And that's what yin yoga is. But there's also a really cool type of yoga that I've been experimenting with called restorative yoga, in which it is allowing your nervous system to reset. And a lot of just looks like laying on a big pillow. If you were ever to like Google it. However, restorative yoga is meant to recharge and restore the nervous system. So there are different levels of restoration in movement, right? Obviously, walking, you're still moving. You have power yoga, where you're constantly flowing and moving the whole time. You can stretch. There's yin yoga, restorative yoga, lots of options, right? And for me, like one of the things that I was battling with earlier in the spring this year was frequent headaches. Like they would pop up every 3 to 4 days and they would wipe me out for the evening. And it would be so easy on these days to just rot into the couch and be like, my head hurts, I need to be in the dark. One of the things I found was that if I could get myself out of the house to go for a walk, and it was usually with the kids and my husband, I always felt better after. Like even if I had a headache, I would put on some sunglasses to darken the light. But it's something about being outside and fresh air. Like I'd rather be outside with a headache. And this wasn't a fast walk. This is a slow stroll. I mean, we've got a 2 and a 4-year-old. We're not going very fast. But I always felt glad that I did it. Right? So getting out and moving, even if you have a cold or you're tired, you don't have to walk fast. Sometimes it's just getting outside, get some fresh air, really makes a difference. And it doesn't have to be this high intensity thing. Another thing in that same note with restorative movement, if you at all feel like, yeah, I can stretch or I can walk, take a walk out in nature. My goodness, get under some trees. It is so restorative. There have been so many research studies that have tied getting into nature and smelling the smells of forest, being under trees, being in awe of the natural beauty of the world that we live in has direct correlations to decrease in stress and increase in healing. So it is such a great gift that, we live in a beautiful place, right? And so getting out, go look at some nature, sit by a lake, get under some trees if you have that around you. Episode 40 on this podcast is actually called Forest Bathing, and it would be a great fit for you if you want to really start exploring the benefits of nature on helping recover on those low energy days. Hey, pause for just a moment. Do you want my top 12 ways to biohack your energy? I've created an entrepreneur's playbook that holds my favorite tips and tricks to help you have highly productive mornings in your business. If you're looking for a boost in energy and focus, I think you'll really like this free playbook I've created for you. Check out the link in the show notes to grab it. Habit number 6 is reading fiction. And I specifically differentiate between fiction and nonfiction because for me, there is a difference. When I read nonfiction, so nutrition books, business books, personal development books, I'm often like, even if I don't have a highlighter out or my sticky notes, I mentally have a highlighter and my sticky notes out. And I am always thinking, how can I apply this? Could this work in my business? I'm going to need to add this to my to-do list. I could do better at this. And for me, I don't want to be adding to my mental load, my to-do list, and decreasing the cognitive capacity that I have when I'm in a low energy day. And so for me, nonfiction just hasn't been it. Now, I do have some clients that have really enjoyed gardening books and maybe cookbooks, books that are nonfiction that maybe don't come with a to-do list that have worked quite well for them. But for me, I am a huge fiction fan. I read slowly, but a lot. I read about 2 books a month and I read for about 45 minutes a day. That's usually all after I put the kids down until I fall asleep. Well, some of my favorite light books that I love to read, if we're talking romance books, I love Abby Jimenez and Christina Lauren. They're great authors. They're kind of like contemporary romance. If I could liken it to a movie, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, that vibe you're going to get from those 2 authors. I find them just really light and fun, and I can fall asleep while reading them. But if you're also just looking for, something to take your brain off it, maybe something that's not so light, if you love multiverse, time travel, mystery, I would highly recommend checking out books by Blake Crouch. Specifically, Dark Matter has been one of my favorite books. I read very few books twice, but I have read Dark Matter twice. And I think he has another book, I think it's either called Incursion or Recursion. That was also really good. These books are very, they're exciting. You know what I mean? So they take your brain somewhere else. But I love reading because it's a really low energy habit, right? And it allows you just to let your body rest. If you are into legal thrillers, I love the Lincoln Lawyer series by Michael Connolly. The Lincoln Lawyer series is basically, it's like the TV show that they did on the series, but it's legal thrillers. There's 8 or 9 of them in the series. They are so good. Many 5-star books in that. But like I said, I read a lot. If you search me up, there's a website called Goodreads, and my profile on there is Tanessa Shears. Come find me. Come see what I've read. I'm happy to share all that kind of stuff. Maybe I'll even leave a link in the description and add me as a friend, and you could tell me what you're reading. I always love looking for new books. Specifically, what I think is really cool about Goodreads, actually, it's an app on your phone, and it's a website, by the way, Goodreads, is that if you had a book that you really liked, so for example, let's say I took one of my favorite books ever has been Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. Jimenez, by the way, Jimenez, I'm probably butchering it, Jimenez. But if I love that book, you can actually click on that book and see what people that have rated this really highly also really loved. And so you're able to easily find other books by other authors, things that you are more likely to like. And so I never ever run out of books. I think I have a backlog of 400 books I want to read. I just love it. It's such a low energy self-care habit that feels really good. The next one is something called legs up the wall. And this was actually something I learned from my physiotherapist. So I originally learned this back when I was in pelvic floor physiotherapy after I had my second baby. But again, when I've gone back to see her recently, because I've been dealing with tension in my neck and tension in my jaws, she thinks that a lot of the stress that I'm holding in my neck and my jaws is, like I said, stress related. And so she told me, I want you to sit every night for a minimum of 5 minutes with your legs up the wall, laying on the floor. So what this kind of looks like is, imagine you're laying on the floor, but your bum is scooted all the way up to a wall and your legs are going straight up. Right? So this is meant to actually help with the nervous system. And I mean, I didn't really look into it before until she said that it's a nervous system thing, but it's actually a passive inversion. And the best way to do this actually is to roll up like a towel or get a small pillow and put it under your hips so that they are slightly elevated above your chest, right? And just sitting there for 5 minutes, it's fascinating. So last night I was doing this and I was laying on the floor. I actually just put my feet up on the bed. And I was laying there, and one thing I really like to do is I have a travel-sized foam roller, and that just basically means the diameter of the foam roller is smaller, so it would fit under the back of your neck. I like to put under the back of my neck and just gently lull my head side to side, kind of massaging the muscles of the back of my neck while my hips are slightly elevated, my feet are up on the bed. And I was sitting there, and I was like, it's relaxing. And then I would get my book and I sat there for like 20 minutes reading like that last night. And I watched my heart rate, and my heart rate dropped into the very low 50s while I was just laying there and reading. And that is such a restorative place for my body to be in. And I was doing it right before bed, and it's just really relaxing. And this is something that you can do at any times of the day. Lay down, put your legs up a wall, and breathe or read, right? And some of the other benefits, of course, because now I'm looking into this and what does it do, is there have been reported benefits that it obviously reduces swelling in the legs, as a lot of the blood flow tends to come back into the torso and out of the feet. It helps relieve stress. It helps relieve tension. And like I said, I keep my feet hooked over the edge of my bed and read while I do this, but this has been kind of super low energy here to help you reduce your stress and help that blood flow come back to your heart. The 8th low energy self-care habit that I love to do is make sure I'm staying hydrated. And this is a habit that over the last 30 days, I have been rigorously implementing to the point where I'm actually tracking with a check mark every day. Am I doing this or not? Is when I wake up in the morning, I drink 16 ounces of water, or the equivalent of 2 cups. Yes, this feels like a lot of water in the morning, but we dehydrate a lot over the night. And dehydration can lead to fatigue. It can lead to lack of focus. It can lead to brain fog. It can lead to headaches. And so I am doing this hydration strategy as a preemptive self-care approach to taking care of myself. And it obviously super low energy. It's just I keep a cup. It's interesting. All the cups in my house, by the way, it's kind of fun. They are all old tomato sauce jars, because we have these big tomato sauce jars, and they have the like 4, 8, 12, 16 ounce markings on the side of the jar. So I know exactly how much 16 ounces is. But I keep this by my sink in the bathroom in the morning. So I wake up. This is one of the very first things that I do is I get hydrated. So it's a super low effort, right? And it's something that you could do to preemptively care for yourself, even if you have a high energy day. But this is especially important on the days that you're not feeling as energized. The other thing that I'll do is I'll make myself a cup of tea. And it's summer when I'm recording this right now. And yes, I had a nice warm cup of tea this morning. It's going to be different for everyone, but I love having organic loose leaf green tea, right? And the reason I love green tea is because it helps with reducing stress, right? It's got plenty of antioxidants in it. It is a wonderful, it is a wonderful source to just help you release your stress, have a warm beverage in your hand. Another really good type of tea for this is chamomile tea. I do like to have mine in the morning if I do that, especially my green tea, because I don't drink coffee anymore. But chamomile tea is a great option at night, but just make sure it's not too close to bed that it'll have you waking up to pee, because that'll disrupt your sleep. So staying hydrated is a wonderful way to take care of yourself. The 9th habit that we're going to talk about is a warm shower. Now, Originally, I was like, oh, I should put warm bath in there. But I mean, I'm a mom of 2 and 4-year-olds. The amount of time that I actually get to take a bath for myself is just, it just is not often enough to put in here. What I actually end up doing is taking a warm shower more often and then just letting this be a slow shower where I don't need to rush. So maybe I've just planned for it to be 15 minutes or I plan for it to be 20 minutes. And something that I've done is I have a waterproof wireless speaker in my shower. And on the Aloe Moves app that I was telling you about earlier, they have an entire section in the sound bath section under like sound meditation that's actually called Sound Bath for the Bath. And they give you a specific track to listen to in preparation for your bath, like while you are filling up the tub, let's say. And then there's a specific track to listen to while you are in the tub. So I don't, obviously not filling up the tub if I'm taking a shower, but I can play this nice relaxing music while I am in the shower. And it kind of has that dual effect of like movement meditation. The warm water is soothing. I'm practicing breathing. I'm staying present, right? And especially if you need to take a shower anyways that day, this is a great way to include this. But you don't need to do this sound bath type of music. You can do any type of music. Like I find jazz music very calming. Specifically, we've been listening to a lot of Disney jazz around our house. Like they'll do something like A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes or Beauty and the Beast, but it'll be done with jazz music, loungy type of music, whatever type of music makes you feel restored and slowed down. And that just makes you feel that sense of presence. The very last low energy self-care habit is grounding and sunshine. Now, grounding is when you take off your shoes and your socks and you actually connect your feet with the earth. Not a wood deck, not concrete. I'm talking about sand, grass, in the lake, in the ocean, getting the earth in contact with your feet. There's an entire a documentary. I forget what it's called. I feel it's called Grounding or something like that. You'd have to look it up to find it. But there's a lot of research and anecdotal evidence as well that it just helps with lowering stress. Now, how we implement this in our family, and we also include our 2 girls in it, is we have what we call going to the field. So going to the field, this is not a special field, but you know those giant grass fields that you have in maybe your neighborhood park, or it's a baseball diamond, or it's a school where they have these big grass fields? Well, we have a huge one like 3 minutes from our house, and I like to go to this field. All 4 of us, we strip off our socks, we strip off our shoes, and we go. The kids love to run in these open fields of grass. I often, if I have the opportunity to wear shorts, I'll just sit in the grass, being in the sun, getting that natural sunlight in your eyes, a little bit on your skin if you're not going to burn, right? So much that does for your energy. And again, I'm always able to look back to my Aura Ring and see, after we have what I call a day in the field with my girls and my husband, I can see my energy come back into relaxed and restored. And for me, this is so good. So I think it's combining being outside in nature with connecting with the earth, with being disconnected from my business and my phone and my social media, and just staying connected to the people I love the most. Like, I love this, right? And the sunshine is just a bonus. It's not a necessary. If you do this, you don't have to go with your family. You could literally go and sit out in the grass in your yard at a local park in the morning, get that morning sunshine in your eyes. That morning sunshine is another thing that is so wonderful that you can do for your energy. And take care of yourself, right? To help boost dopamine, make you feel better, bring your energy up, right? And so I've given you 10 different ideas for low energy self-care habits. Like on those days where you're just exhausted, right? We talked about sound baths. We talked about watching YouTube or TV that creates peace, painting, naps or non-sleep deep rests. We talked about restorative types of movement, reading, legs up the wall, drinking plenty of water, warm showers, and grounding in the sunshine. I love these so much. I even include them, honestly, on my high energy days, because on my high energy days, my body tends to be really engaged. These are all, for the most part, really wonderful things that you can put in your evening wind down that aren't TV. And it's interesting. I'll sometimes have clients say like, I don't know what to do with my evenings if I'm not on my phone or I'm not on my TV. Like all of these are wonderful things that will help you feel relaxed and restored. These are great before bed. These are great in the middle of the day. They're great as a morning routine if you just need that you time to help set you up for the day ahead. Now, I know that in saying all this, some of us definitely struggle with this idea of rest and feel like it is not a productive use of our time, or we are lazy if we do this rest, or we have these stories in our head about what it means to, lay down on the couch or to take time for ourselves. And if you are experiencing that, I just want you to know, first of all, that that's totally normal. And it's likely just a product of messaging that you have received from parents, from coworkers over the years, maybe partners, where we just don't value restorative rest. And it is seen as more productive and more useful to just plow through and you're tired. But I really do think there is a difference in knowing the difference between when you are genuinely in need of rest and when you are making excuses for not doing your workout, not showing up, right? And I think we have to be able to discern between that. And for me, I'm always able to tell, because if I genuinely need a break, I am willing to do the reading. I am willing to do the restorative movement. But if all I want to do is just lay there, overeat, and watch Housewives, I know for me that that's just a form of escaping. And there's usually something under there that I want to start exploring. Like, what am I escaping right now? I know that I'm tired, but doing this, I know for me, never makes me feel better. So why am I choosing this instead of one of these other low energy self-care habits? And it just opens up a conversation for me. This is a conversation we have often inside of my Becoming Limitless program, because as entrepreneurs, like, we're culturally conditioned to work, to be productive, to grow, to have more, to make more money, to do more, to hire more. Like, it's just more and more and more and more and more. And so there's so much conversation in the program around taking rest, what it means to take rest, how we can deal with our thinking and our mindset around rest. And so if this is you and you love all these ideas, but just really struggle with implementing them and taking time for you in your life and feeling the way you want to feel in your life, I would love to invite you to join Becoming Limitless. I will leave a link in the description. It's my program for 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs who want to create a system for their health that is backed in data and science and wearable technology, but is also really strengthened by coaching and looking at the reasons why we do the things we want to do, so that you're able to create a system for your health that works in all seasons of your life. And at the same point, know the difference between when it's time to rest and when it is your brain giving you excuses. It is such a valuable skill set, and I'm regularly coaching that with my clients inside of the program. Like I said, link will be in the description. If you have any questions about it, always feel free to DM me. I'm on Instagram at Tanessa Shears, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have or send you the link to join. So I hope this has been a helpful episode, and you now are equipped with a ton of ideas on how to take care of yourself that don't involve getting into that self-pity cycle of feeling even more terrible and just losing an entire day and never really getting that restoration that you are so deeply craving. I hope you have a beautiful week. I'll talk to you next time. Bye. Hey, if you love listening to this podcast, then you have to come check out my coaching program, Becoming Limitless. Together, we'll build a sustainable system for your health that is based in science and data that fits seamlessly into your busy schedule. Join me over at TanessaShears.com/Becoming Limitless. I'll see you there.